Hello, I am Micah Wolf with FOAB and 9185 Robotics. This is going to be part 1 of our video series using Pros 4.1 and Easy Template 3.1 to help jumpstart your programming journey through VEX Robotics. This series is intended to lay the groundwork for new programmers in programming a robot with C++ using Pros. We are electing to start with using Easy Template right out of the gate because it's a great place to start as a beginner to learn and develop as a programmer. We'll be using their example project to start and skip the setup process, but Easy Template can be applied to your already existing projects. This series is going to assume you have already properly installed the latest Pros client, and we'll be specifically using the VS Code extension. In this first video, I'll be going over how to download Easy Template example project, open it, set up files, and how to view the documentation. The first place, if you haven't already installed and gotten the Pros client, I recommend VS Code from Microsoft and using the extension they have available there. If you need help with that, on the Pros website, there is a Getting Started tab. That tab will walk you through getting that opened up and installed. Also, the Pros First Time User Guide is great if you're new. Specifically, when you go to this website, because we're using Pros 4 and on, once you get it set up and working, I highly recommend clicking on this and going to the Pros 4 documentation, and we'll be referencing this throughout the rest of the video series. I'll also provide a link in the description. The next step is we're going to want to go to the Easy Template GitHub page. This is their home page. It's been used by world champions. Plenty of very successful teams have utilized Easy Template. There's also a great Discord community server, so highly recommend if you're going to be using this going into competition season, you run into a problem, go ahead and join the server. They can be a lot of help, all the people that use it. This is your link here, can be the tutorial of how to upgrade an existing project. We're going to start straight from the example project though, so we're not going to worry about that. So you're going to want to go to their homepage, scroll down to installation and click here. And then it's going to walk you through the steps of downloading it. I highly recommend taking a read through here. It's very useful information, but we're going to skip through a lot of this in this video. Next, to download the latest version, you click there. It's going to take you to the GitHub page. If you scroll down, you can either download the Easy Template, which you have to apply to an already existing project. In our case, we're going to download the Easy Template example project zip file. I'm going to cut in some images here. When you get the example project downloaded, it's a zip file. So you're going to want to find it in your Finder, not your Finder if you're on Mac, File Explorer if you're on Windows. You're going to want to right click on it and extract the full file. I highly recommend changing the name of that folder, and then save that folder to wherever you keep all of your coding projects. Once you have it, download it, change the name, and saved where you know you can find it. We're going to open up Visual Studio Code, VS Code for short, and we're going to go ahead and open up our folder. So File, Open Folder. Have this saved to my desktop. Go. So when it opens up, it's going to open you up to this page. It's going to give you the welcome page from Pros. On the left-hand side here is basically your mini file explorer inside of the folder. This is your overall folder, so this is OAB tutorial, what I've named mine. The first step, like I said, we're going to be going over how to get this set up in this video, and then in future videos we're going to go through actual code. First thing you're going to do, go into project.pros. You can change the name of it. I'm just going to call this VOAB. VOAB there. You can do a description. This is where you choose your programming slot on your brain. You can also choose what it does after it downloads. So the first thing is you're going to want to make sure you save. So Control S is your best friend when coding. That's the first thing we do. We change the name of it. The two folders you're going to deal with the most is the include folder and the source folder. Now, you can do most of your coding directly into the already existing files, but for some organization purposes, it's going to help to create some of these files we will in a moment. This is the main file, so this is what competition smart control reads and activates and deactivates your robot with. So initialize, you're going to find your autonomous section in here, and then OP control is your driver control, if you're not familiar with programming. So we don't want to mess with a lot of stuff in here, or the functions at least. So we don't want to like delete initialize, just something to keep in mind. At the top here is where you're going to configure your chassis or your base for your robot. The example project puts it right here at the top with these descriptions that are super useful. So this is assuming a robot has 6-motor base. One side is 1, 2, 3. Next side is 4, 5, 6. The negative direction. If, for example, you have these geared and you need to switch these, you just go in and add or subtract the minus sign. You can also change the numbers. Easy template does require an inertial sensor on your robot. That's what this is. And then the wheel diameter of the wheels you're using. We're just going to leave this as the default for now. But you can change this based on your robot. Next is the initialize section. This initializes Easy Template's Auton selector and OP control settings, also with the display on the brain, the LCD. Autonomous, it calls the selected Auton, resets a bunch of things, and then OP control is really where you put your driver control stuff, and it already has, since you set up the chassis with Easy Template, it already has in here the different chassis options for your drivers. So you have tank, arcade split, single, and you can also flip them. My experience, I leave it in tank until I'm done programming just to make sure that the motors are going all the same directions, and then I switch it into the driver's preferred option. We're not going to look at the Autons file right now. That will come in a later video, but we are going to start creating, I create 2 files that I use for organization. The first file, so I just click this button up here. The first file I'm going to create is globals.cpp. And I'm also going to create a helpers.cpp. You're also going to want to go into include and create the same files, except they're HPP this time. And we're going to do the same for helpers. The next thing we need to do is these files exist, but nothing has access to them, and they don't have access to anything. So what we're going to want to do is at the top of each of these files, we're going to go in and just include main.h. Like that. I'm just pasting this in on each of these. All of them? Yep. And then, so these have access to the main.h file, which gives them access to all of the other functions, but main.h does not have access to them. So if we create something in helpers, our main.c file is not going to have access to it. So what we're going to want to do is go into main.h, and we're going to add them about here. We're going to want to include globals.hpp. And we're going to want to include helpers.php. Now, that gives all the files access to each other, so we can do whatever we want in those files. And that is essentially the file setup and how I recommend setting it up. You don't have to. You can create more files. Like if you wanted a file specifically for intake and a file specifically for lift, you can do that. I just find sometimes it's easier to look through one file than look through 7 files. So that is all for this part 1 of this video series of how to get the example project, get it, the basics of it set up. In the next video, we're going to be going over how to set up an intake and actually start coding in that video. But we did set up our files, which will help organization moving forward.